Well, hello. It's Joanna Clark with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching. It's Wednesday afternoon. It's September 30th. Oh my goodness. I cannot even believe that it is the end of September and fall is in the air. Okay, so last week we talked about naps and I gave you a ton of information that I'm hoping that you've listened to and been able to employ and actually improve naps or help you nudge them so that they become easier for you. And if you haven't listened to that video, I highly recommend you go back to the Facebook Live on September 23rd, which was last Wednesday. If you go to my Facebook, which you guys are in, you'll easily be able to go to videos and go find that. But I thought I'd continue the conversation on naps because there's so much going on with naps. And today's topic is going to be, what do I do if I have a preschooler or a school age child and I have a sleeping baby and I've got to interrupt my baby's nap or skip a nap because I have school pickup obligations? This is a constant source of frustration, agitation, stress when you have conflicting priorities, right? So if you are lucky and you've been able to help your child get on a really great nap schedule and you have a quiet house, the last thing you want to do is interrupt that because you have an errand to run or a school pickup or some other important but nagging obligation when it creates that scenario where it's going to interrupt that nap that you probably worked really hard for in some capacity. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. So just as a reminder of who I am, I'm Joanna Clark with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching. And I am a gentle sleep coach, so I do not believe in cry it out. I believe that because we're looking at sleep through the lens of a learned skill, that is really important for a parent to be in the room helping the child learn their sleep skills, which are to self-regulate, self-settle, and self-soothe. The thing about naps is that, you know, naps are difficult, especially if your child's not having great nighttime sleep, right? So if you have a child that's already struggling with bedtime battles and bedtime taking forever, and then of course, if you have a child that then is also simultaneously waking up multiple times a night, the reality is that probably your daytime napping life is probably equally as hard. So if that's the situation you're in, some of these recommendations I'm talking about today on how you negotiate a napping child with obligations, such as picking up an older sibling, they might not be like the picture perfect advice for you because you're kind of maybe in a separate zone where the naps have not already been managed. So today the expectation is that the suggestions I'm giving today are predicated on that your child is taking great naps, that you already have a reliable, dependable schedule on your naps. And now there's this new obligation that's peeking in that's going to interrupt that. And you want to be able to negotiate between what's working well and what you're obligated to do. So those of you that are out there where you're like, I wish that was my problem. I wish naps were like picture perfect. Don't worry. There's always, always, always hope. Okay, that's the one thing that I hope when anyone listening to me in the past or listening to me in the future knows, that your situation is never hopeless or helpless. Every sleep struggle can always be solved. It might take a little time, it may take some concerted effort and consistency, and it definitely requires the right plan, but it can all be solved. So again, today what we're going to be talking about is on predicating on the fact that your child is already napping well and that they have a good nap schedule, and yet you are seeing some difficult challenges and negotiating other obligations around it. Okay, so I want to make that super clear. Also, just a reminder that, again, everything I talk about, you guys, is through the lens of behavioral science, sleep science, and attachment theory. I do not believe in cry it out. And so everything is very gentle and what I like to call guilt free and gentle, so that you can feel really good about your mothering. Um, okay. And then also, you guys, today I'm going to be probably mentioning some tips in here through my chapter in the #1 international best-selling book, The One Thing Every Mom Needs to Know. There's a chapter in there called, baby sleep strategies. And so I'm going to probably be referencing some of that material. So I'm going to be posting the link where you can download that audio for free, instant download, so that if you need to go into some of the material deeper, that is a good resource tool for you. Okay. All right. So here's the scenario. The scenario is you have 2 or more children, and the older sibling is either in preschool or elementary school, or they have some outside activities such as dance, sports, swim, etc. And you know you have this obligation with your older child, but the younger baby, in order for you to get to that event or get back to that event, is going to interrupt the nap schedule of child number 2. What do you do? Okay. So the most obvious thing would be, and maybe is easier these days, is that if you have any other caregiver that you can call upon to support you so that you don't have to interrupt that nap, that would be like the most obvious, easy recommendation, right? So right now, most high schoolers are doing Zoom school. And no, is it not ideal to have another person coming into your house because of COVID? No, it's not. However, if you make friends with one of your local teenagers and you have to run out to go do a round trip preschool drop off, and you're only going to be gone 20 or 30 minutes, and you can station a teenager, with the baby monitor, maybe on your back porch, or maybe sitting in one of your rooms with like the windows wide open and they're wearing a mask or something like that. So they're not actually getting near your baby. They're not touching your baby. Like, the assumption is, again, that your baby is sleeping well, and that when you're gone, the baby's going to remain sleeping, and that you just really need some adult, if you will, adult supervision. If you could find another caretaker. So that could be a neighbor, that could be a teenager. I don't necessarily want you to have to go spend a whole bunch of money on a babysitter unless you start to get strategic about your time blocking, which is like, if you know your preschooler needs to be picked up twice a week, then maybe you do end up getting a babysitter twice a week so that you can actually leave the house for a 4 to 6 hour period with the drop off, run a whole bunch of errands, take care of some personal business, loop around, get the preschooler, and then be home and then relieve the babysitter. Okay. Now, some of you are thinking like, yeah, I know, I've already thought of that. But you know what? Here's the thing, you guys, our brains right now are so full. Well, maybe I should say my brain right now is so full. The world is a complex place right now, right? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Families are working remotely. Some preschools, daycares, and schools are on hybrid or shortened days, or they're even, you're needing to homeschool. And so we have to start recognizing that the way we used to do things, we have to get creative in how we can recalibrate. And so I'm just kind of brainstorming some things that I've been brainstorming with some of my clients to kind of help them feel like they can have some productivity without interrupting the baby sleep that's already going so well that they maybe worked really hard to get. Okay, so first option is go ask for help, you guys. Right now, I know it's hard to ask for help because you don't want people necessarily in your house, but if you find the right person and you maybe create some appropriate boundaries about how they're going to help you, like that example of allowing the teenager to sit on your back porch with the monitor, with the back door open. So if they hear the baby, they have access, and they've got a protocol with how they're going to contact you, or how they might go to cribside for the baby. These are all things that are doable when you're, out for short stints. Okay. So that's one idea, or best idea. If you can afford a babysitter for chunks of time, then you can just leave for a big chunk of time, get a whole bunch of stuff done, and do the round trip. Okay. Number two is the one choice that most people are going to be looking at, which is, okay, I do have to pack up this cute little bundle that normally would prefer to sleep in the crib, but I still need to get this nap in. So please recall that a minimum restorative nap is 45 minutes. So if you have a child 6 months of age or older, and they're already on a really good nap schedule, if you manage for one of those naps to get 45 minutes or more, you're doing great. You can feel really good about that. Yes, it's not like the big juicy nap they're normally taking, hour and a half, but 45 minutes is considered the minimum restorative sleep cycle. And so what you can do in a situation like that is plan ahead. If you know you have to pick up your older child, and it's going to interrupt with that nap time, go ahead, pack the child up in the car, and just start hitting the road, and let that baby potentially fall asleep sooner than they normally would in a nap time situation at your home. And allow that driving, unfortunately, this is wasting gas, but sometimes we have to do what we got to do for a full 45 minutes, so that then you can safely park the car, the baby will wake up, you can go get the other sibling, and then be back home and proceed with your day. So what does that mean for a mom that has to kind of start living her life this way? Is it ideal? No. Is it convenient? Not necessarily. Is it better than having a really, really, really cranky baby because day after day when you're doing this sibling pickup, they miss their nap, and now you have a cranky baby and a really exhausted toddler because they've been at preschool all day? Right? So we just have to, again, compromise. So I always recommend to moms that have to do this is like, let's make sure you got everything you could possibly need in the car. You've got obviously diaper bag that's ready to go, change of clothes for the baby, change of clothes for yourself. You've got a full battery or a charger in your car. You've probably downloaded some podcast or some movies that don't require Wi-Fi, so that if you get stuck sitting in a parking lot with the air conditioner on while your baby sleeps, that you have something to watch or entertain yourself with. Oftentimes, I'll recommend that if you're a working from home mom, you bring your laptop and you've got a couple of emails fired up that you need to just bang out so that you can be productive. If you have a book you enjoy reading, have that book either on Kindle on your phone, or just keep it in your car so you always have something to read, and you've got water. So that if you have a situation, you're lucky enough that your baby will actually let you get on the road, fall asleep, and then you're able to stop the car and maybe roll down the windows, or at the very least keep the engine running with the air conditioner on and continue to sleep. This is a great opportunity for just to use your car as kind of your mobile living room, and you can be, comfortable and knowing that your baby's getting good sleep, and that you'll be able to pick up your other child and proceed with your day. Okay, so number 3 is not my favorite option, but it's worth mentioning. If you find that you're like, no, this baby really needs to sleep at home. This baby does not do well in the car. He never sleeps in the car, or he always wakes up even if we hit our first traffic light. Then my recommendation there is this: go ahead and wake up that baby 30 minutes earlier than you would normally do in the morning, so that your baby can begin and complete their nap by the time you need to put them in the car and hit the road to go pick up the other sibling. I know it's not ideal. I hate even thinking about waking up a happy sleeping baby. But for some families, they have children that literally won't sleep in the car. And it's a terrible, awful thing, okay? But they won't. And so then that parent is in a real double bind where they're like, well, I only have 2 choices then. either I have to hire somebody that will come tend to my baby when they're sleeping, or I have to alter this child's schedule in order to make that happen. In which case, you can't guarantee a child to sleep later in the morning. So then you can like go do the pickup and then come back and do the nap. That my experience in the past 10 years of being a sleep coach, that is a very hard one to actually have work well consistently. Where you can achieve some consistency is wake the child up 30 or 45 minutes earlier in the morning so that they're taking that morning nap earlier, so that then by the time they wake up, you can get in the car and hit the road. Okay. Not ideal, but that is a way to manage it. And so the other thing is that the reality is that, you know, when you have multiple children and us mothers, we have multiple obligations. Yes, oftentimes the youngest baby will, what they say is, live the life of the oldest child, right? So I have clients that have, you know, 4 babies, 5 babies. And what often happens, despite the parents' best intentions, is that 4th or 5th child, or even the 3rd child, ends up living the life of the older child, because the older child has more places to go, things to see, people to, you know, etc. And so unless there's a whole framework of grandparents and aunties and cousins nearby to caretake that younger sibling, oftentimes that baby has to go in tow and be moving along with the rest of the crew. And, you know, it's going to happen, right? But don't feel miserable about it, but just try your very best to make these accommodations, because ultimately it will make your life easier, right? Because babies that are constantly missing their naps or getting lack of daytime sleep, it inevitably ends up causing bedtime battles, middle of the night arousals, and early rising. Okay. And so we don't want that. And so sometimes we have to do whatever we can do to protect daytime sleep so that we don't end up causing more problems for ourselves at bedtime or in the middle of the night. So with that being said, I've just done a ton of talking. I promised to send you guys this link in here about baby sleep strategies. So I'm going to post that right now. This is an audio chapter in my #1 international best-selling book that I'm a part of, that kind of gives you 5 reasons why your child was awake last night. So remember at the beginning of this conversation, I said to you, this conversation today is dedicated to individuals whose baby's already sleeping well at night and they've already dialed in their naps during the day, and now they need some help problem solving around pickup obligations with older siblings. For those of you that are like, whoa, I'm having a lot more problems. I'm having that problem, Joanna, but I'm also having a lot of other problems with naps in general, as well as bedtime battles in the middle of the night, then I highly, highly recommend that you go here to this link and download this audio. I think the audio maybe is about 20 minutes long or so it's not terribly long. And again, you can listen to it while you're, you know, doing your chores, walking the dog, etc. And as you move through there, you'll start to see those trigger points about what is causing some of those bedtime struggles or middle of the night struggles or current nap struggles. So you can begin to piece together what you need to do to solve that first, before you need to kind of move on to kind of advanced strategies, like I discussed today, around how to maneuver scheduling conflicts with their children. So I see, I also want to tell you that if you are listening to this on replay, don't hesitate to ask me a question. I'll jump in and respond. So you can always do #replay, and I'll know that that's coming from you. And I'm more than happy to answer your question. If anyone is here and they have a question they wanted to ask me live before I sign off, I'm more than happy to do that. My greatest joy is helping you solve your sleep struggles, because I am on a mission to make sure that families are well rested. My motto is sleep is bliss for you, your child, and your family. It's not just about the baby, it's also about you, your baby, and your entire family. Well rested family is what I'm aiming for. Okay, so I'm going to sign off here unless I see somebody popping in for a question. And I just want to say thank you for being with here today. Stay safe. We're still here in California. We still got a lot of fires. It's really sad. Air quality is really poor. And I know the country is under a lot of pressure right now. So everyone just stay calm, stay safe, and get some blissful sleep. That always makes everything better. Take care.